Hi guys, good afternoon. I'm here with the second video for this payment APIs topic. So the way we are working here is like we have multiple issues, okay, and then based on that issues, which is enhancement actually, we'll be creating the multiple branches and I'll be pushing the changes to that branches. And then there will be a master branch where everything will be collected, but you can check out the branch itself to see the changes for that particular topic only. So in the first part, we added a user API, and there is a branch one where you can see all the code related to that. And then now we are working on the issues too. Okay, so this is how the things gets started while we were actually developing the different products. Okay, we discuss about the features and we break down it, and then we start working on it. So the idea of like having a different branches out of the different features, and then once the feature is good, we can merge that changes into the master. Okay, so let's have what second features brings us today. Okay, so basically is saying that open account while adding users. So open account while mobile number with mobile number when new users is added. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we need to handle as part of this particular feature. And also is saying that initial account should be zero balance and make the history of any account or add or update. Okay, so we also need to maintain the history of that particular things, and then make sure there should be only one mobile number can be added for one account. So there is some sort of constraint that we have also take care of. Okay, so mm, to work on this feature, let's get started directly from the initial master branch that we have just created with. Okay, so I'm in master branch, and then I'm going to create the another branch, which is actually the issue number. So issue number is 2, so I'm going to create the branch issue 2, and I'm all set. Now, the first thing we have to do is like open the new accounts with the with mobile number when new users is added. So what it's trying to say is like whenever we add this user, you have to create the accounts as well. So fine, let's do that thing. So to do that, I'm going to create the user account, okay, or account, whatever account entity. Uh, for this particular project, we are just working with the request layer and the entities layer. Okay, we don't want to have another layer, which is the model layer, but eventually that will be something that that will help to have our code clean. But now our project is very simple, so we can live with this entity and these kinds of things. So we have the requests and responses isolated from our business layer, and then we have the entities, which are actually our models. That will suffice the need for us for now. So I'm creating the account entity, which will be exactly the way the user entity looks like. So basically, I'm just copying the ID. Okay. Eventually, whenever there is ID, we need to have it and entity and then data. Okay, so we can also do the abstraction of this ID into base class and then uh, extend that base class from the every entities. But for now, I'm just leaving with this. This is fine, I think. So as part of the account, all right, we are going to do accounting differently. So instead of having, let's say, the other user entity mapped for this particular account, we can just use the account number, okay, which is actually be a mobile number for now. But uh, let's use the account and then account number, okay, and then the private big decimal balance and private string currency. Or we can work with the single currency system for now, so we don't have to worry about multiple currencies. It's a single currency. So even it's a single currency, it's good idea to have this as part of the storage as well, because eventually if we need to, or if we think to support the multiple currency, it will help us. And again, now also it will help us to represent in what currency the balance is. So basically we have the account number and then the balance. And okay, so one more thing we can do here is like we can add the uh, class or enum, simply to say that, okay, add, okay, sorry, the factor rename. So this is the account status. And then for this purpose, I'm going to just have the open account, okay? And then same thing, the account status, and then the enumeration, yes, as value as a string. Fine. So basically what we did is here like we added one primary key with the ID with the strategy with identity, and then we also have the account number. The way we wanted to do it is deal here is like we don't want any relationship between the user and then the account. Instead of that, we want to have an account number and then on balance and currency, something like that. So we are not trying to have any relationship between the accounts and users. Okay. Uh, Eventually, the account number, balance, currency, and status is something that account entity will be more interested with. Okay, fine. We're done with that. So basically, let's create the repository for that. So account JP repository is the second thing that we need to have, which is the interface. So extends JPA repository. So user account entity, fine, and then type is long, which is the primary key, which is also fine. Fine. I think I have some typo error here, so I'll just replace it repository. Fine. And then we define the account JPA repository as well. So we are done with the JPA part. So if you would like to add the test case for this, you can do that right now. So this will be an integration test. Normally for this repository that I created out of the Spring Data JPA repository, I normally prefer to have the integration test first and then make sure that I'm saving the everything correctly. My data save and everything is working. So data JPA test, sorry, data JPA test is there. So in this way, we can just verify the my repository is working fine. So we don't have to cater for this later. Private account JPA repository. Repository, this is what I want. Give me this repository and auto-wire this as part of the data JPA test. And void, I want to test the save. That's it I want, I think, for now. So let's test the save. And to do this, I need one sample account entity. So I'll do the private static because I just want to prepare some test data out of it. Okay, yeah, and then account, fine. So this is the account entity. Okay. Normally in this situation, I normally like to have some sort of utility method somewhere here. Okay, so public static and account entity. So you can expose as off, and then the account number maybe you want to give, and then the big decimal as a balance, which is fine, and then is currency, and then the status, right? So status, account status. So this way we keep the initialization of the objects in a one place, and then also helps to have our code cleaner, so you don't have to have multiple, let's say. Yeah, so in this case, account entity, I can also do the all ask constructor or account entity account. So new account entity and then account, that's it. Or even we don't have to do this. Let's say uh, account number and account, that's it. Balance, account, that's it. Currency, account, that's it. Status, and status. And this is what we need written account, I think. Fine. So this is the of, and then here I can say that, okay, return please account entity of, account number is 2, the account balance is, let's say, the big decimal of 10, the currency is NRS, and the status is account status is open, okay, it is not closed. So these are the things we like to store in our database, and let's just call repository to save it. So save please this account for me, and then I just like to assert one thing, nothing much. So assert that save that get ID is not all. This is what I'm trying to say, because eventually in this particular account I'm not providing any ID, so this should be generated while doing the same operation and should be reflected back to me. So if I do this, okay, just to beautify the things, I'm using the static import, so it will look most cleaner, more cleaner. Okay, fine. If I run this, it will make sure that I can persist the account without any issues. If there is an issue, I can fix it right now and then move to the another layer of writing. So let's see what it gives to me. Okay, fine. So basically, we're printing the query as well in our application.properties file, right? So we should be able to see the SQL statements as well. So this guy is doing something like this, okay? So creating the table and then making the insert statements or something like that, and then dropping the table. So as part of the integration test, everything is taken care by this guy actually, the at the data GPA test. I think another beauty is like it doesn't initialize whole Spring Boot applications. Okay, so it will just initialize the things that is related to the JPA. So all your bins, which is actually a JPA, and the entities only. So it will not initialize your other services or controllers or something like that. So that's why it it's quick. All right, we're done with this. Okay, so second thing is like we want to add one more service. Okay, so this is the account service, and let's do one thing. Uh, let's do one thing differently for now. Okay, I'm going to create the interface for now for this. So okay, account entity, create an account entity, create account entity, and I'll give you back the account entity. Okay, just give me the mobile number and balance maybe, right? So I can do in that way as well. I can have the contract in different way. Since this is a very simple contract, I'll take you the account number. I'll I'll take you the balance, okay, or eventually in the let's say in the create statement, we are not going to take care of any balances, okay. Initially the balance will be 0 or something like that, but the currency, the what currency you are going to create the account, so this should be provided, okay. Or even, yeah, this is also fine. Or you can define the contracts the way you want. Okay, currently I'm trying to get the currency as well. Fine. So I'm going to write one implementation out of it since I have created the uh, account account in service interface. Okay, fine. So this is the implementation that I'm looking for. Add, cool. So to do this, private final, since this is account service, I need to save this account JPA repository, okay? And then I'll just want to mark this as a service, since this is my service, not a server place service. Service, fine. And then as part of, as I mentioned earlier, I can use the all-args constructor, okay? So this way we don't have to worry about anything. And if you provide me the account number and currency, the first thing that I would like to do here to create the account is I will create the instance of account entity. So this is the account that I'm going to create. Fine. So account entity of, we can utilize the same method that we created, and account number is the same thing that I have provided to you, and the balance is zero initially. Okay, so zero, the currency is something that you have provided, and status will be something as open. Fine. So doing this, I have the account ready, so I can simply say that please return this saved account while you are creating the data account in my database. So doing this, what I did is like, fine, there is a repository. I'm going to say call that repository to save that account entity of this account number with the balance zero, because this is the account creation process. So we don't have any balance loading as part of the account creation process, and then the currency, and then um, the status. Okay. So the second thing could be like uh, user service. Now this guy, private final user service, wants to depend on the wants to have the account service. Okay, account service. So uh, again, we can simply remove this all of this and then use the allocs constructor, which will simplify, sorry, I mean this, and we can use the allocs constructor from the lombok, so that will have the constructor already generated for us. So as part of the user registration process, okay, I'm just going to extract this to, let's say, the enrich. Okay, and enrich user. As part of this create process, please enrich the user, and then account service that create the account for this user that get mobile number. Okay, and then the currency is for now, I'm just doing the currency for this user service is fixed. So any user that is creating that is being created from this user service will going to have the currency as NRS for now, so we don't have to bother it. Okay, and then basically we are providing this currency from here. So our account service is taking the currency. That means it can handle multiple currency. But our user registration process is providing just only one currency for now. So we are not taking care of multiple currencies. So this is the mobile number that I'm using as part of my account registration process, which is also fine. And then the currency that is being provided. Okay, so account has been created, and then you also want to save the users, and then you are done with this user registration process, right? So fine. And since we have altered this logic of the user service creation, we have to be we should update this case as well, which is the account service. Cool. So I provided this repository and account service. Now, as part of the given when then, whenever I provide the values users, what should happen is like we also need to verify that mockito.verify that we missed last time. Okay, repository and that save with user. So there should be some call to that repository to save that user, and this is as part of the verification process. Now we can also say that, okay, mockito.verify. Um, from here we can simply say that, okay, uh, the account service that create, right, and then If my service works correctly, then it should call the account service with this particular parameter. So user with get mobile number and then the currency as NRS. So either you can use directly NRS from here, or you can use the NRS from. I think this is the good way to do it. Like you are making sure of the things from the test cases. So instead of making this public and then trying to use it from here, okay, I would prefer this one. And yeah, so basically we verified that we are going to hit the account service with this mobile number and NRS currency code while the user registration process. So we verified this. We also verified the engagement process. We also verified this thing. So from the test case, we verify almost everything that we are doing here. And then if we want a different combination of the data and then some boundaries condition, this and that, everything will be tested from the unit test. So the coverage, or let's say the code, or whatever we test from the unit test will be maximum, and the integration test will cover a subset of that, or let's say a little less than that, and the end-to-end test will have more or less than that. So this is kind of pyramid testing. Okay, your base is unit test, so we have to rely on the unit test. And then there should be other tests to make sure of the communication between the services, not exactly the validate your business kinds of things. So yeah, always try to rely on your unit test and make your unit test so much clearer, powerful, and simple. All right. Okay. So this is what we did here. We do not have that much of things to verify now. Okay, we're basically doing few things and then this and that. So okay, fine. Uh, Now the user service is there, everything is there. Okay, so we created the accounts and this and that. So the second thing we need to do here is like you have to create the test for the account service as well. So let's create the test quickly. Okay, so in this case again, what I need to have is like private account DB repository, I think. So this is what I need as a mocked implementation for this particular test because this guy depends on that, but doesn't care about if this guy works correctly or not. So again, another thing is private, the actual service that I'm going to take care of. So this is the account service, and as part of the setup process, okay, before is I think uh, I'm going to set up the things. So which will be a service which is the new account service IMPL, which is the implementation of the account service, which is the provided repository. Fine, but I don't have the mock initialize, so I need to do this mockito annotations that open mocks this, right? And then yeah, so doing that, service the dot create. Fine, account number is 2, and then the currency is, let's say, the NRS. What will happen if I do this? It should provide me account entity, right? So first thing I need to do the Mockito, sorry, what I need to make sure is that Mockito.when, if you call repository with save, okay, any, let's say Mockito.any, because the instance that has been created from the inside of the service. So I cannot provide an instance and then say that uh, okay, whenever. So like what this guy is doing is the repository just save and is trying to create a new instance of the account and then saving it to the database. So the way I should be mocking it would be something like this. So any, okay, monkey.any. So if you get any save request for this particular class, at least account entity, okay, that class, and then return. Let me just create one account entity. Okay. So basically, yeah, so account entity of 2, the balance is big decimal of zero, or even we can do the mock. So because we don't rely on the verification for this particular one, okay. So let me just do repository.save when, and then, yeah, since we are relying on this repository call to verify our business, okay, eventually this guy is returning and that is being saved. If you see the implementation, what we're doing is like instance is being created from here, okay. So in that case, this guy will return the things that has been created as part of the service. So what we'll do is like we need to have argument capture for this uh, argument capture. So I want to capture the argument for the account entity. Okay, so this is the account entity capture. Let's say argument capture for account entity for class, account entity dot class, something like that. Okay. So this is the argument capture, and whenever this is the call, and what I'm saying like Mokito, please verify. I'm calling this repository with save. And whenever you are trying to verify this, okay, please capture the things for me. So argument capture that captures. So yeah, basically, whenever you try to verify that there is a repository call from my side, whenever I'm hitting this service with dot create, then please capture things for me. So yeah, okay, he has captured that and then give me the value. So if you get the value, now this is something that you want to verify. Okay, so maybe you'll be saying that ascertain that assert that you have assigned the value that, or let's say this is the saved entity, okay, the saved account or created account, whatever you can say. So this is the created account in your database. So you are saying that created account that get status is something should be open account status that open. So this is something that our business is doing, and then the also the get uh, the balance or balance would be zero. So you can also verify that is big decimal dot zero, right? So yeah, this is how we verify the things. And third thing is like assertance that assert that created account that get currency, I think, right? Currency, we can also verify the currency, no problem, is equals to NRS, something like this. No NTS, sorry, NRS. So this way we can verify what actually has been saved in our database and our my service is doing things correctly. So we are not relying on the whatever that is being written from here eventually. And then what you can say is that the NRS is equals to the created this one. So the saved one is being written from the service. So that's why you can also verify the things or certain that assert that the created account equals to NRS. Now let's say the saved account and created account. Okay, so eventually they are the same, but you have to um, created account is equals to NRS. Fine. So if I run this, okay, expecting to be equals to null. Expected null. Oh no, yeah, we cannot do this. Eventually, we have to, yeah, we cannot do this. Okay, so basically, there's something that has been written from my create service. So how we can verify this? Let's say, and this is what repository, and then anything that is being called to the repository as being returned. So yeah, we cannot do this because we are not mocking anything from the repository. So if we want to do this and then make sure of that that particular instance is being written from the, no, we can do this, I think. So this is what we need to do. All right. So we will verify the what's being saved. So that's why we verified the things being. Also we verified the these are the arguments that has been saved, and then we can verify things differently. Like if we really want to verify that we are returning the same instance that is being created, that is being as part of the save, then we can also do that. Okay, so this is what we end up having the account service test. Okay, so one more thing, if you like to verify, is like the account entity, and this is the account entity of mokito.mock, the account entity dot class. All right, and then I would like to verify the same instance that is being saved is being written, something like that. Okay, so there is no any. Uh, so in that case, what I'll do is like mokito dot when account repository dot save any account entity dot class, then please return account entity. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. This is not the mokito dot any. Where is the mokito? I need the mokito dot any. I think mokito dot any, something like this, and then return this. Okay, and then now we can say that okay, whatever this written from this guy, this is the created one. Let's say created account, and this is the saved account. Saved account. Fine. So this is the saved account, and this is the created account. So yeah, let's verify the things now. So assertions assert that your account entity or is yeah account entity is equals to your created entity. So this way we verified like these are the scenarios, these are the given conditions. Okay, we provided the couple of scenarios, and then we tried to hit. This is the scenarios that we're playing with, and this is the given, and this is the when condition, and then we are verifying a couple of things. Okay, so yeah, now this should work. Cool. And the second thing that we want to like as part of this, we added the accounts, we created the accounts, okay, as part of the user creation process. It triggered the user creation process and provided that implementation. So we did everything here. The another thing that we need to take care of this is like initial accounts should have zero balance. This is done, and then the make history of account add or update. So we also need take care of the history, okay? Uh, that means like whenever there is new entry inside the account entity or anything has been updated inside the account entity, we need to maintain the uh, history for it. So to do that, okay, to do that, uh, there is a couple of approaches to do it. Okay, the one thing is like either you'll create a different table called let's say account history and then do all of these things manually. All right. So whenever you're trying to insert or do any operations, you have to make entry to that table as well. So this is the one first approach. And the second approach is like you can use a Hibernate envers. Okay. So which will provide exactly the same functionality for you. So if you just go and look for the Hibernate envers, envers I think Enver, yeah. So this is something exactly the same thing that we need here. Okay, this will give you the history pretty well. So Hibernate uh, Hibernate envers Maven. We need the dependency. for this Hibernate inverse. Okay, so this is what we need. Fine, so this is the alpha 7655, so I'm going to add the last final version, which is this, and then provide as part of my dependency. So I added this dependency here. So this is the another dependency we added as part of our second task, which is the Hibernate inverse, and we'd like to work with the history, so we'll see how it will work. Okay, so now dependency has been pulled in, and as part of this account entity, what I need to do is like I'll also mark this as a table, which will be pretty cool if I do something like that. User table and then user, okay, value maybe, or name, yeah, name. So I'll give the name user for this table, and we can mark this as audited. So this is what actually we need to uh, audit entity, audit table, enable GPA auditing. I'm not sure this, no, GPA auditing is something else. Okay, so what is that library that we just pulled in? We can see what are the annotations that it contains. So let me just check that library. What was the library that we just pom.xml, and then this is the Hibernate Ember. So org Hibernate org Hibernate Embers. Okay, so let's guess inside of this library and then see why. Why is that? Why can't I see the things? Come on. Okay, it's not refreshed. Maybe it's not refreshed or what? It's showing the yeah. Okay, fine. So Embers. And then what are the audited? Yeah, I can see the audited, unaudited reader table. There are so many annotations. So I think the audited is something that we need to do our thing. So let's go back to the account entity and map this or mark this as audited. Okay. And the second thing we need to have like audited table, and which is the name of what it has. It has the value. So okay, so value is user, sorry, this is the account, sorry. So this is account and then this is account history. Fine. So now the every column that we have inside our table will be audited. Okay, so anything that will be updated or deleted or anything else will be entered in this account history table. So if we edited the, let's say the account number one to be something else, then it will be uh, as part of the account history. So this is what we needed to have this particular feature. And yeah, we are done with this audited kinds of things as well. So let me go back to our and make sure there is a make sure one mobile number can be used for one accounts only. Okay, so one mobile number, one account. Or this guy is saying that you can have you must have the account number unique in your accounts table. So yeah, so to do that, normally to do the constraint checks, or let's say to make sure of that and there is no duplicate entry, we mostly rely on the database, right? Because it's a ultimate resource for us. It holds the data. So instead of checking and then having that check inside our applications is pretty so column unique true. Okay, in this way we can add one constraint to our database table, and then normally we don't get any duplicate account number requests most of the time because somebody else is not going to use a different mobile number or something like that to create that account or something like that. But if I hit that request, the database will take care of me about this request and then throw in some exception. So we don't have to, let's say, check for every cases, right? I don't want to check this scenario in my best path. So let's say 90% of the request is not duplicate, and then 10% of the request is the duplicate one. Okay. And why I'll add that override to the 90% of my cases, since I want system that will perform well for the 95% of the cases. For 10% of the 5% of the cases, it is fine, and the database will handle. And ultimately, this is something that is better if we rely inside the database. Okay, and maybe not null this and that. These kinds of things can be checked inside the controller layer itself. So make sure that you have the data integrity fine. Okay, you have the data that you have expected, which could be a part of the contract itself. But for the storage, it's pretty good to have, let's say, this unique kinds of constraint and like indexes and this and that. Okay, so I think we are done with this. Pretty cool. So if you see all of these four things that we have done here is done. So a second thing we can add here is like for the user entity as well, you are not going to use the different mobile number. Okay, so for different users. So okay, fine. This is also the constraint, the unique true. Mobile number should be true for every user, and then email should be true. So something like that, we can add this annotation, so it will be fine as well. And what happens like if there is any problem and I get the duplicate number? So to do that, what we can do is like uh, whenever we are doing the user service and then save, uh, either you'll handle the constraint violation exceptions from the database itself, or you can raise the um, error from here. For example, let's say let's try the things after running this. Eventually, we'll get that exception from database now, but still, if you want to make that as a handle exceptions and then throw some different error out of it, we can do that as well. So let's run this application and then try to hit that endpoint from our Swagger UI. Let's run it. And we can do the same test, an integration test, and this for the user controllers as well. Unit test for this, and integration test for this, and integration test for the whole application as well. So we'll be doing that in next videos, and then okay, so it runs with this all of these things, and then the URL is this. Okay, so let me just go and then run this. See that as part of this to console. Okay, we can also modify this test connection connect. Fine. Now we have the account history table, and also the revision info as well, and then the account user entity. Okay, so let's go back inside the Swagger that we have, and then here let me create one. Try it out. All right. So this is the email, and then this is the mobile number. All right. So 998222222, and then this is the no. Let me 12345 for now. So name is Vivek. So I created this and I get the response, which is pretty fine. If I check the database as well, we should be there. So if I run this query, I have entry in my database. I have entry in my table as well. So yeah, so basically account number is this, balance is this, currency is this, and then the in the account history table, let's check the account history table as well. Yeah, so account history is also there. Okay, so the revision one means like revision type zero means like it's a insert in statement. So we have the insert in this particular, we have the entry of ID one with the revision zero, and there's a insert. So if we modify it, the ID will be two, and revision will be one, and revision type will be yeah one or two or something like that. So these are the tables that has been created and this and that. If you want to execute the same thing, now you get the internal server error saying that uh, there is a duplicate. Okay, so it's a constant data integrity, constant violation exception. So we have to handle it uh, if we want to take care of this exception and say that the batch request. Other than that, yeah. Other than that is the same thing. Okay, we have handled it. So let's add that handling process, and then I think we are good to go. So for now, what we can do is like we can simply add this as exception handler. Okay, so I'll add this as part of the exception handler and then do the same thing again. And if we want to be consistent about our exception format, then we can be consistent about that as well. Okay, so in that case, let me just copy this class. JavaX validation and then class. So here, what I'm trying to say is that, okay, please handle this, and I don't have that much of things to do here. So that body, and I want a list. So arrays as list, and off is like new violation resource. And I don't know what I'm going to get from here. Field message. For now is simply a message. Okay. So in the violation response, there is a all ask constructor. So um, the field, I don't know the field. So this is what I need. And I can change the implementers to be a collection, a singleton list. Okay, done. So we are saying that whenever the system hits the constant violation exception, that is mainly related because of user created the duplicate entry or used the duplicate data. So please handle that this way, saying that this is a batch request, and then I will provide you the violation, something like that. So I'm not sure how readable this message will be. If not, then like you have to handle this exception from here, okay, from the user service on respective service and through the exception saying that you have a duplicate account number used or something like that. So this way you can be more explicit about the messages that you are going to return from your APIs. So just rerun this and then rerun this as a check if this handled our exceptions or not. Okay, so to do that, I'll create first create do the entry is created, and then for the second, it's still internal server error. So this is not handling the error. So maybe the error that we're trying to catch here is not the actual exception. Okay, so it could be a nested exception for this. This ultimately this from the Hibernate should have. Okay, let me just check. Okay, I'll just do this and then input class. I'll do from Hibernate, but I would like to see if this. Okay, this is a JDBC exception. Okay, Hibernate exception versus an exception, runtime exception. All right, so maybe this is the exception that we need to catch. So let's rerun the things and then check the things. So eventually, we are trying to catch the error exceptions that has been occurred inside our applications when this controller is trying to do some operations. So it will hit back to the controller device and try to catch this exception. This is what we're trying to do. Nothing much. So first entry is fine and second entry is also fine. Okay. So this is a could not execute statement. So this is a generic message, right? So since we have cast this constant violation exception and I want to get this message out of it, but if we want to be more explicit about the error message, so what we can do is like we can place this as a try catch, and then we know that there will be a scenario where if the user wants to send the constant. Okay, exception EA. If this is the scenario, then please throw the exception, which is something else. Okay, so I'm going to create, let's say, the exception new package exception, which is the uh, duplicate account number exception. Okay, so yeah, fine, or duplicate entry exception. So I can do this from here. or duplicate refactor, rename duplicate data exceptions for now. Okay, so duplicate data exceptions, which extends the runtime exception, and then it will public, it will give you, let's say the, it will take the message, not much, and send the message to the super, and that's it. All right, and you can also declare utility class public static of, sorry, of message, right? So we want a message to give this fine and return new duplicate exception message. So doing this and having this as part of the user service IMPL and saying that please throw whenever you cast this, throw or raise duplicate data exception of what? So you can say that okay, string dot format, okay, the account number percentage yes already exists, something like that, right? Is duplicate or already exists. So you want to give the account number to format it, and then you are done. So basically, you cast the exception and you want to raise the different exceptions. So from here, if you want to handle this, I'm just going to copy this for now. And then if you want to handle this, I'll just copy from here. Okay, so account entity and account entity, sorry, and the duplicate exception class. So as part of this handling process, I want to handle this and please handle this, something like that. And same thing goes for this user service as well. So if you do and if you find any duplicate entries while you're trying to save, please do this for me. So catch, which is the constant violation exception, which is from the Hibernate. So throw new data duplicate exceptions, sorry, data duplicate data exception, duplicate data exception, and then string dot format. What you can say is that mobile number is already used, or let's say is duplicate or exists as mobile number is already used. Okay, so this is what we are trying to make sure from the user that he will change the mobile numbers because it has been already used and send back to the user the format. I don't want this somewhere here. Okay, so yeah. And saying that, now we have also cast that exception in our controller advice, and then we have thrown that from there. So so we are done with this. All right. As thank you for watching. I'm going to push this things into my branch and then see you in the next video. Okay. Thank you.